Hi guys, I'm Maggie with GoggleWork Center for the Arts here in the Metalsmithing studio, and this afternoon we're going to do a quick demo on how to saw out metal. Okay, so here are a variety of general use items that you're probably going to want if you're trying to cut anything out of metal. First, I have my sheet of copper, and the second thing I did was trace this little trout fish outline onto a piece of paper and cut it out. And then I'm going to take some rubber cement as an adhesive and just glue the image I want to cut out right onto the piece of metal. I kind of firmly push it on there. And then while that's drying, I use a little bit too much glue. While that's drying, I'm going to take my saw blade and put it into my frame. These are 2/0 saw blades, little jeweler's saw blades. They come in large packs because it is common to break your saw blades, especially if you're relatively new to cutting. You're going to want to take a nice close look at these, and the teeth of the saw you want facing out and down. And the first thing I like to do is kind of loosen my bottom part of my frame, make sure my teeth are facing the right way, get them in there and tighten it. And then you want to put tension on the frame before you put the second end in. And what I like to do, I actually push the frame up against my table edge and I lean onto it with my chest. So I have 2 hands to do this with. And again, I'm kind of loosening this up. My saw frame is a little too big for my blade. So before I do that, I'm going to loosen up the bottom here, shorten the frame just a little. And then again, I'll lean it against the table. I'll lean against the handle of the frame. So I'm like physically shortening the end of this to loosen it. Put that in, tighten it. And now when I release the tension from the frame, there should be a good amount of tension on my saw. And when you kind of ding it, it should make that nice twangy sound. The next thing I'm going to set up is my cutting surface. This is a real simple homemade keyhole jig. And I'm simply going to clamp that off the edge of the table. And this is going to allow me to saw in various directions around my metal, but still having the majority of my metal relatively well supported. You know, if I was just going to saw off the end of my table, half my metal's off the table, and then there's this weird tension. So in this way, I'm going to try to have as much as the metal supported as I can, but I still have access to various angles. And then the last thing that we have is this lubrication for the frame, and it's going to help the saw glide against the metal a little more easily and not get caught so quickly. Because these teeth are pointed down, you're going to get the majority of the work done on a downward motion, which is a lot easier to apply pressure that way with control than with an upward motion. And it's a good habit to get into, just to kind of lube up your blade every now and again. You know, if you didn't have this special lube, you could use wax or even chapstick would work. And then again, because my blades are facing down, I find it's easier to start your groove on an up. You want to try to have your saw straight up and down, And I would recommend trying to use the entire length of the blade. And I'm not really pushing forward very much. I'm letting the blade cut through the metal. And then if I have to make a sharp turn like this, I'm just going to kind of go up and down a couple of times, trying not to move my frame. Just creating that space so I can change the angle of my saw. And now that I'm pointed in the right direction again, I can start giving a little more pressure. Okay. Here's my little fish. There it is from the back side. And now I'll take a little file and I'll go around and kind of smooth off any edges, or if I wasn't able to get my blade to cut as closely to my design as I initially wanted, before I peel this off, I'll take my files and I'll kind of just shave it off a little here and there to clean it up. But that's basically what it looks like. Thank you for watching, and I hope you found this helpful.